Hi there, that's us back again after our coffee break, ready to do some more crafting. The reason I've got my map open here is because if you look at the symbol on the map, this is the alchemy station and it's like a little flower sort of shape. And if you look at the enchantment symbol, it's like a sky shard. Now, if I just close this and you look up here, there you go, there's your alchemy symbol. And and there's your little sky shard for your enchantments. Are we going to do enchanting first, Mick?
Yeah, we can do that.
Right. I only hope this works because I've not got very many enchanting light stones. But this is more complicated. What I need to point out is this is a slightly longer tutorial than you would normally find, but that is because without the in-depth explanation, you're kind of going in blind, and you need that information to make the best of what you've got in Elderscrolls Online.
And trust me, this was just an overview because we haven't even gone into things like your crafting sets and your specialised tables that you find out in the wilds. There's a whole load more that we can add to crafting on a later video, but for the basics, this is enough to get you going and get you started. We'll finish up with a few tips on how to actually approach your crafting skills as well. So.
Yeah, I would also like to point out that Mirik is the knowledgeable gamer who goes into a game knowing all, and I am the charge in and I'll learn as I go gamer that normally dies 100 times before I learn my lesson. So here we go, enchanting.
So as we pointed out previously, you had two main kind of groupings of how your crafting skills worked. You had your production skills, which were your crafting based on woodworking, clothing and blacksmithing. They were all very similar, the interfaces were the same, very little difference between them. These last sets of crafting are very different. There's a complete sort of change in how the interface works. So the first one we're going to look at is enchanting, and as you can see, Ravania's pulled up the interface for the enchanting table, and it's very different. Now, how enchanting works is it's actually based from Elderscrolls lore. The enchanting are actually words of power. So each of the runes that you're about to use form a phrase, a magical phrase, which creates the item for you. And this is done by combining three different sets of runes. You have potency, aspect, and essence runes. So here you can see Mervania's got the creation tab open.
Oh, sorry, that's my footstool, folks.
And you can see you can look at all of your runes in one group, or you can break them down by the three sections. So you've got your potency, your essence, and your aspect. Now, down in the bottom of the screen where you saw the section where we were making the various cloth items, you can see you've got three shaped kind of holes that you need to put in. You need to combine... Sockets, yes, sockets is a good word. You need to combine one of each of the three different types of rune to be able to make the glyph. Now, if you're missing a potency rune, you can't make any glyphs. You've got to have at least one of each. Now, if Mervania will hover over the first one here, Jode, you'll see that it tells you you've got Jode, and then underneath it, it says translation with a question mark. Now, that's because Mervania hasn't actually done any enchanting yet, so to her, the world of the runes are completely open. She doesn't actually know what these runes mean. So the first couple of attempts you get to make glyphs will be a bit kind of fumbling in the dark. You'll be combining runes and you won't have any idea what they do and how they're going to actually combine, and even if they're going to combine into something. But once you've used a rune, you translate it and you'll start to learn what that rune means, and you can then start to build glyphs based on what you want. So we're going to go with Jode first. So double click it and you'll see it fills the first socket in the rune phrase. So we've now used our first potency rune. The next one is the essence rune. Now we have a fair selection here, so let's just pick one at random. And again, you'll see that we don't have a translation for any of these. We're completely blind, we don't know what these are. And then last, now it should be noted, there are some different colours of rune here. Now this is because we've kind of passed on a bunch of different rune stones to Mervania here. Now you'll notice it says requires aspect improvement 2. That means that she can't actually use the Donata rune yet. Her enchanting skill isn't high enough. And we'll give you a quick overview of what that means when we talk about how to plan your crafting character out, when we talk about the skill lines. So at the moment, she can only use the Ta rune at the bottom. So I guess we're going to be picking Ta. So now we've filled all 3 sockets. We have Jode, Mako and Ta. Now you'll hear, when you craft, you'll actually hear the little voice pronouncing the runes for you, which is quite amusing. I wasn't expecting it the first time I did it, and you'll see it says unknown glyph. It's because we don't know what any of these runes are going to do, so this is a completely blind creation for us. So we hit R. Boom. So we have now translated these runes.
Reduced magical base. That'd be handy for me.
Joda is a reduction. It means it lowers something. Mako is the area of magicka, so any glyph that uses the Mako rune will affect magicka, and Ta is just a base rune. So if we exit out of that, you'll see what we've made is a trifling glyph of absorb magicka. Now what that means is it's an item that will deal magical damage to the creature or person that you're attacking, because this is a weapon glyph, and it will give you some of that magicka back to your character. Quite a handy one for a magicka based character.
Can I put that on my staff?
We can certainly try that. We'll show you that in a second. You'll notice it tells you at the top what type of glyph it is, so it says weapon glyph. That means this particular item can be attached to a weapon. You'll also see armor glyphs and you'll see jewellery glyphs. And it also gives you a brief description of what that particular item does. So you can see it says deals 1246 magic damage and restores 232 magicka. So when she attaches that to a weapon, that weapon will do an additional bunch of magic damage and give her some of her magicka back. So we come off of that. Now you'll notice the runes. No, you've crafted it. That was your first one. That's why you've translated the runes.
Okay.
So you'll notice the runes are still sitting there in the bottom. We've got our rune phrases. So if you double click the Jode and double click the Mako, now if you go back into the first, to the potency tab, hover over Jode and you'll notice it has its translation now. It now tells us reduce. So anytime we want to absorb or reduce an item, we know we can use a Jode rune. So let's try it with Jora and see what Jora does. So double click Jora and it fills the socket. Then we go to the essence rune. So again, let's just pick one at random. Shall we go for Oko?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them. So.
And we'll leave Ta because we know Ta was the only rune that we had that we could use. And we know it's a base rune, so it's not going to do anything particularly exciting. So again, craft. And it's made another glyph.
Ooh.
So we've translated Jora, and we know that Jora is develop, and Oko covers the area of health. So the last one we had reduced, and it was magicka. This one is developing and health. So what we've found is, and you'll notice this is an armor glyph now, and because we've improved on health, what we've created is a trifling glyph of health. Maximum health enchantment means it adds an extra 643 points to your health. So if Mervania attaches that to a piece of armour, she will gain an extra bunch of health. Handy, especially for adventure.
I like it.
And it now means that any time in the future that we want to make a trifling glyph of health, and any kind of health glyph, we now know that we use an Oko rune because Oko is health. As you go on, you'll start to transcribe and get new runes, and you'll start to be able to understand what you're going to do, and you'll be able to tailor the various runes to the kind of things you want. For example, if you go down the vampire skill line and you realise that your resistance to fire is absolutely terrible because of the penalties, a good idea would be to make some resist fire type runes, but you would obviously need to know how to have that particular set of runes. Now, the next tab along is for extraction. Now, what that means is when you've created a glyph, you can then try and extract the core runes back out. It works almost exactly the same way as deconstructing the various armor types and the other crafting skills. Now, we're not going to do that just now because we want to actually show you how to attach these particular runes, but the concept's exactly the same. So, if you go into your inventory, you will now find that you should have...
Well...
There you go.
There's your 2 runes. So we have a trifling glyph of health for armor.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah. So we'll start with the armor rune. So find a piece of armor that you want. So how about...
Is that light armor?
That's already got enchantments on it, so find something that doesn't have an enchantment.
Maybe.
You don't have any boots on. Remember, we destroyed your shoes. Left you a penniless urchin.
Oh. Homespun. Rawhide bracers?
Yeah, it looks like the bracers are the best option because they're empty.
So do I click on them?
So if you right click on that, you will notice you have the option there that says enchant. So click on enchant and it pulls up this. Now if we happen to have more than one armor glyph, you would see them all listed here. But at the moment we only have one armor glyph. So we're going to add that one. So just highlight it by clicking it once. And you'll see it's telling you at the bottom that you're going to add it onto this particular piece of armor. So E for enchant, both. And it's as simple as that. So you now see that her rawhide bracers have now turned into rawhide bracers of health. Now, it should be noted that enchants are completely separate from traits. So you can craft a cloth item with a trait on it and then still add an enchantment onto it. It doesn't stop you from doing that. And we're going to show you this exactly here because this particular flame staff, if you notice, has a trait on it. It has the training trait which gives you increased experience, but that is irrelevant to us enchanting it. So here we go. Boom. And we now have a Maple Inferno Staff of Absorb Magicka. So it does its base 941 damage and it does an additional 1246 damage and will actually give Mervania some magic back. So not a bad little item to have to get you started with.
Yay!
And that was basically enchanting in a nutshell. Now you'll find enchanting runes scattered around in the outside world. They look like little kind of stone menhirs, only about maybe 6 inches to a foot high, and they give off a big character,
they say.
So the mixing of the different runes for enchanting kind of is similar to how you do alchemy as well. Now if you click on the alchemy station, you'll see that we have something quite similar. We have a section for solvents and we have a section for reagents. Now, you always need a solvent as a base for your potion. Now, if Mervania clicks on the solvents section,
Solvents.
you can see here that she has got 2 different types of solvents. She has natural water and grease. Now, natural water allows her to make low-level potions, and grease allows her to make low-level poisons. So you have different types of bases depending on whether you're making a potion or a poison. And the natural water will only allow you to make low-level stuff, much the same as jute or rawhide lets you make low-level clothing stuff, and as you gather higher-level items, you can make more powerful potions. So double-click the natural water, and that's us got our base. Now to add to that base, we need to find some materials to kind of mix up and see what we get. Now again, much like the enchanting runes, you'll see that we have unknown next to all these different items. That's because we haven't actually learned what these different raw plants and herbs and things can do. So again, a bit of trial and error here. Now to start with, we can only add 2 different items together to make our potion. As you go up in skill, you can start to add more and get different kind of different mixes of potion. So I would say go with the mountain flower and the lady's smock. Let's see what happens here. So it says we'll get an unknown potion. It's because we don't know any of the traits. Ooh. Now we got a red bar there, which means we didn't actually get anything out of them. None of the ingredients there were actually useful to us and enabled us to make a potion. So we'll try one of the blue Interlomas and we'll try it again. Aha! So this time we got some stuff that mixed. Now you'll notice we've now discovered some traits. On Mountain Flower we've discovered that it has Restore Health, and on Blue Entoloma it's got Restore Health. Now if you hover over the Blue Entoloma, you'll notice there are still 3 unknown traits to find on these. Again, as you go up in your alchemy skill, you'll start to get more and more of these different traits unlocked. Now the idea is when you make a potion, you need to match something that has similar traits. So we now know that Blue Entoloma does Restore Health. If we want to make health potions in the future, we need to add another plant that also has the Restore Health trait.
Which was the mountain one that we just used?
I believe it was, but we only had one piece of that left. So that's why our first potion failed, because obviously the 2 plants we mixed together didn't have any matching traits that allowed it to be a potion. So we might as well give it one more try with the bit of Dragonthorn we've got and see what we get. Oh, and again, the Dragonthorn didn't have anything. Now you'll notice that this is a lot more hit and miss than the Enchanting. Be prepared to spend a lot of time mixing your different alchemy ingredients together with a lot of trial and error. Because there are so many different plants and herbs out there are so many different combinations. Now obviously in this wonderful internet age you can probably look up a list of all the various combinations or get an add-on that gives it all for you. But as Mervania and I are quite quick to sort of point out, we like the kind of more role-playing and casual side of making our characters. So we kind of like to do the stumbling around, trial and error kind of thing. So it's obviously up to yourself. If you want to look at a pre-made list, you'll be able to see all the different traits. And that was alchemy. Now if you open your inventory, we did manage to make 1 potion. So it would be under your consumables section, and there you can see we have a Sip of Health. Now what that does is it's a potion that restores 8,369 health immediately, and it also gives you Fortitude, which increases your health recovery by about 20%. So that means that not only will it give her a big chunk of health back when she drinks it, but it will also give her an increased regeneration on her natural healing as well.
No, that was booked.
Yeah. So that's a created potion, and the one underneath it, this Sip of Health at the bottom, was just a potion that she's picked up. Now, quick way to actually equip your potions, because obviously you don't want to go fumbling around inside your inventory. If you press and hold the Q button, that's your quick slot, and you'll see here all the different slottable items that you can equip. So if you just drag that Sip of Health across to one of these empty spots and come out of the inventory, you'll notice on the bottom, next to the bar with all the skills, you now have the potion sitting on your Q button. That means that when you're out adventuring, you just need to hit Q and that item will be consumed. So our potion that we handcrafted with our own gathered ingredients is now sitting ready to be used.
Right, well, that is the crafting. I realise we haven't gone through provisioning yet. Provisioning is something that we will look at later, because currently Mervania does not have any recipes and is very limited on ingredients. So as soon as I manage to gather these, we will sort out a crafting tutorial, a provisional tutorial for you. Any final words, Merrick?
The one last thing that I was going to give a quick look at was the actual crafting skills themselves. So as we showed you earlier, you'll notice you have the 6 different crafting skills listed at the bottom of your different sort of skill lists. Now, how you approach your crafting character is very dependent on how involved you want to get in the crafting line. Some people like to spread the crafting skills across different characters, some like to specialise. Now, one thing that you do have to bear in mind is a starting character can dabble in any of the crafting skills without spending a single point to get started, because all your low level recipes using jute, using rawhide, they'll cover you up to about level 15, 16 without you having to spend a single point. But if you do want to then go further than that, you will have to start spending skill points. Now, skill points can be quite precious to some people. If you're one of these people that likes to have a multitude of different builds, you will find a point where you spending your skill points can be, a bit of a chore. Now, it is possible to specialise in every crafting skill on a single character. What I do like to do is I like to break the production skills off on one character, so blacksmithing, clothing and woodworking all done on a single character. Now, the main reason I would suggest this is because of your style books. Each style book covers you for all 3 of those crafting skills. Now, the common skills like Altmere, Bosmere, the Argonian, they're all fairly easy to pick up. You will come across more than one of them in your travels. So spreading them across multiple characters is possible. But the more exotic styles, the rarer ones such as Ancient Elven, the Glass, the Daedric, they are harder and much more rare as well. So the investment in trying to spread them across 3 different characters can be quite expensive, both in terms of the money you spend and the time involved in trying to track them down. So for myself, because I do like the crafting, I have one particular character that specialises in all 3 of the production skills: blacksmithing, woodworking and clothing. Now, the reason I mention that, now we're just looking at the clothing one here, is because you'll notice it allows, the first rank of tailoring allows you the use of jute and rawhide, and every character automatically starts with that first skill. It has 10 ranks, which means that as you want to move up and start using the higher materials, you will need to start spending points in it, and this works the same for all of the crafting skills. Keen eye is also something that is relevant to all of the crafting skills. We mentioned earlier with gathering that you will find these materials hidden out in the wilderness. Keen eye allows you to actually, it gives a kind of highlighted glow to the materials. Now, some people swear by this one and think it's great for being able to track down the various materials. Personally, the only one that I've ever found it useful for is for the alchemy, and that's purely because the way I run around the countryside, sometimes it's hard to spot which plants are gatherable and which plants are just part of the background foliage. I've never had an issue finding the jute or finding the iron nodes or anything like that. Next one down, or if you go back to the clothing one actually. Outfitter hireling. Now, this is a very useful skill if you want to be a dedicated crafter, and again you have an outfitter for all of the 3 production skills. What happens is when you put a point in that skill, you will have a little NPC who goes out and every day gathers you some raw materials. Now, this has got actually 2 wonderful benefits to it, because the first one is every in-game day you'll get an email, a little mail will pop up in your mailbox, and it will have a couple of items attached to it. So for a clother, for example, you might have 3 pieces of jute and a piece of hemming, or a style item. As you spend more points, the quality gets higher and the amount of items improves as well. But the other great thing about it is your outfitters have got little lives that they're living, and they tell you about their stories in the email. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but each of the different crafting skills has an individual who will tell you a little bit of their story. And I'm sure quite a few people who have taken one of the hirelings will tell you the stories of Pakruti going out there and gathering all these different things for his master as he sends them off to you. They're quite an entertaining read, but they are worth it because they do just give you some raw materials. And although the jute isn't necessarily important, they will sometimes give you things like the hemming, and they are important for later on. The other skills are all just basically improvements you can get. So some of them will improve the chance of you getting materials when you deconstruct. Some of them will improve the percentage chance when you use your improvements. So when we did the one with the hemming, it was 20%. With points in that, that will actually start to improve, so you've got a higher chance of succeeding with your hemming. So back to the idea of where you want to go with your crafting. If you want a dedicated crafter, it is possible to do with the skill points. When you do all the various quest zones, the sky shards, the public dungeons, you can quite easily earn enough skill points to do at least 2 or 3 of the crafting skills on one character without you suffering anywhere else. And if you have a particular build in mind and you're not looking to to spread yourself out over a whole load of different builds, it is quite easy to add a lot of the crafting skills onto one character. But I would highly recommend put your production skills on one, the woodworking, the clothing and the blacksmithing. It's worth putting a little bit of alchemy and provisioning on each character, at least enough to get some of the passive skills. Some of the passive skills in alchemy and provisioning are quite useful. Enchanting, it's really up to you. You can get away with just having one character do the enchanting and alchemy together.
Well, I hope you found that useful. We are very happy to have provided this information, especially since Morrowind is just around the corner.
6th of June, people.
Yep, I am so looking forward to that. In the meantime, I will say goodbye for now, and Merrick will say goodbye for now.
Bye for now.
And we will see you later. If you like this video, please click like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!